It is time for me to now call upon our esteemed panelists. First up, the founder, Creative Vibe, Santosh Kher. Writer, Bhool Bhulaiya 2, Akash Kaushik. Well, the very renowned actress, TV presenter, influencer, the very gorgeous Soumya Tandon. The head of development, Dice Media, and writer, actor, and creative director, Pocket Aces, Karthik Krishnan. And the content is only going to get rich whilst as we have the film director and the CCO of Content Engineers, none other than Saurabh Verma.
And I guess we're really going to test your patience because I guess we are the last ones, are we? Okay, so hi, I'm Saurabh, and I've been in the business for the last 25 years. I've been on the commerce side, and I feel that there are only two religions in this business. One is the commerce, who thinks the creative guys are mad, and the others are the creative guys who think the commerce guys are mad. So, there's always a battle. Unfortunately, I've been on both sides of the business. I'm a film director, writer, distributor, marketeer, lots of stuff. But this topic which we are talking about, the next gen content creators, I think nobody has a correct answer for that. One, because we are all students. Two, by the time we get the answer, the audience changes, their habits change, and everything changes. So that's the basic thing. So let me start with the other side, and let's start questions. But Karthik, I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us that one unique thing that you think is that you do for content creation, for the next gen content creators.
Hi, Saurabh. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me here. Very quick intro of myself. I work as a head of development. I'm Karthik Krishnan. I work as the head of development at Dice Media. We guys have been making web series since 2015. Little Things, 4 seasons on Netflix. What the Folks, which is our family-friendly, family dramedy on YouTube. We've made Please Find Attached, Adulting, which caters specifically to the young girls on the Gen Z age group. And we've made last year's Hotstar favorite, Ghar Wapsi. So we have a bunch of shows to come. What we've kind of channelized, it's interesting that you started off between the commerce and the science, the craft. So yeah, the creative. So what we've tried to do is often try to marry both. So we try and create, curate relatable experiences, moments, emotions, tracks, and we test them out on our social media platforms, on our Instagram, Dice Media, Filter Copy, by making short form videos and see how they are doing. And we try to weave them into a narrative, a storytelling, which is understandable, which is accessible, which is entertaining, which is something at the same point of time progressive. And it kind of marries that commerce and the craft, the creativity. We try to kind of do that as much as possible. So I don't think that is something that we try as far as possible to, bring the uniqueness to the table. And it has been working for us for the past couple of years. And hopefully we continue to kind of reinvent and discover more things and create more freshly brewed content.
I'd like to, I can't resist telling you all this, but Karthik is also the Swamiji in Scam. So the man with the beard, and this picture doesn't match with that person. So
I had sent that photo, but I was told, no, that is not a formal photo. So
yeah, they would have not matched you.
Yeah, I guess.
So coming next to Soumya, and Soumya, you've been in the business for a while, and you've done films, you've done television, you've done hosting, you've hosted more than 24 shows. You've been an influencer. I'm sure you got more followers than any one of us. So that's happened. And you've seen every faculty you worked in that. And there are ups and downs you've seen. So please introduce yourself and also tell us that, what is your take on this? How do you see the world coming from all these faculties?
That's true, Saurabh. I'm actually not born out of social media. I have been actually lucky to be a part of one of the most iconic fiction shows on television, an iconic non-fiction show on television which started it all, and an iconic film. I have been, I'm born out of theatre and stage, where as an actor, I have rehearsed my lines before performance. I've delved deep into my character, thought about it for days and nights, and thought about my look, and then I performed it. And here comes a time where on social media or on the digital platform, the content is made at a lightning speed, where the focus is on trends vis-a-vis maybe perfection. So it is a change. It is a huge change. There is also a change because a couple of years ago, it was about actors. We used to think that, they're about mystery, they're about enigma. Cut to a time where an actor is giving you an hourly update of what he's eating, what he's wearing, who is he partying with. That's a big change. Even the platforms have changed because earlier there used to be fewer platforms to connect to the viewers. Now the platforms are fragmented. The attention span of the viewer has also gone down. From the advertiser's point of view, earlier the advertiser was selling a Maruti, Mercedes, Lifebuoy and a luxury laptop on the same show without really getting an idea of exactly where the right TG was. Now that is also evolving. So I would say it's a time of transition and it's a time where everybody is evolving. The viewer is evolving, the actors are evolving, the platforms are evolving, and we are all learning as we go along.
So I'll just introduce Soumya as the other two characters she's played as well. So she's been played the title role in Bhabiji Ghar Pe Hai as well. And if you've seen Jab We Met, she was Kareena's sister. We all had a crush on. So that's also. So how has the world changed from then to now?
I would say that even in the times of social media, where now the Gen Z influencers with millions and millions and millions of followers are all favored, I would still say that if I go on an OTT platform and if I see a show by a Gen Z who has millions and millions of followers, and if it is not worth my 8 hours, I'm not going to watch it. Similarly, if I see a Bollywood A-lister come on an OTT platform, I'm not going to watch it if it's not worth my while. So times have changed.
Super. So I'll come to Santosh, and Santosh, there's a lot to learn from you because you specialize in a particular region and also intend to go global. So there are two different spectrums. Santosh, please introduce yourself and let us know your thoughts on what you're doing unique.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Okay. Yes, you are.
So now is you're talking about change, right? So that's what now we all used to. Can you see me? Am I audible? Today is the world of Zoom, WebEx, all these sources of connect that we're talking about. So I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'll not take too much time on that because this is the last session. So thank you so much for being part of this session. I'm Santosh Kher, founder of Creative Vibe. It's a production house. It's a 2-year-old production house, fairly young. But in last 2 years, we've done almost 5 projects. The first one was Pondicherry, which was the entire movie was shot on iPhone. So that was the USP of the movie. Then we did Chandramukhi, which was quite known within the Marathi space, Marathi regional cinema. Then we did Athang as a web series, which is on Planet Marathi. That's an OTT platform. Very different in terms of horror. So we've tried doing different genres. And now we're going to produce, which is not yet released, but Tara Rani is one of the new movie which is coming up, which is historical drama. So these are few projects which we've done. And talking about the change, the content has changed quite a bit in terms of relatability. I was just reading one of the report of Deloitte's 2023 digital media report, which said that new generation or the younger generation are looking for, there were three key aspects. One was emotion, connection, and value. For me, that's the most important thing. Value. What value are you delivering or giving to the audience for them to be hooked on to? I think that's quite important. If audience don't see the value in what you're showing, that's it. So we all talk about content. So there's relatability. There are a lot of other aspects. But what's the value that we are giving to the audience for them to kind of stay on for, as Soumya said, 8 hours, or now it's trend for small-sized videos. Even for those 2 minutes, if you don't give that value, I won't stay beyond 30 seconds. In initial few seconds, I start judging. Is it giving me value? Is it relatable to me? So these are all the aspects that we talk about, and it's very fast-paced. if we take 1 year to produce a movie, in that 1 year, so much has changed.
Yeah.
By the time you release, that movie is not relatable. So you have to think when you want to release the movie 1 year, 2 years forward, and look at what would have changed. So you have to have that forward thinking. You need to have that growth mindset as a production house, as a director, as a writer, on what can be delivered in next 5 years, 3 years. And that's how we need to then have an outside-in thinking. Because finally audience is going to watch, right? So I think that for me, that's the key. And that's what we need to deliver to the audience, and whichever generation we talk about.
I think what I take from you is, and that's what I believe, is that nobody knows nothing. By the time you become guru, the whole paradigm changes and you have to start from the scratch. And pandemic is a big learning from there. Now I come to my fourth participant. Before I introduce him, I'll just tell you, we live in a world where everybody expects us to create Bibles and, every story arc and characters and, backstories and everything. But they also want us to sell stories in 5 minutes, because they've got some 100 scripts in their tables and, they want an elevator pitch, but also want the opposite, which is, exhaustive screenplay with dialogues and everything. So Akash here is a writer who's doing a lot of stuff. And I think you can't write good content and you can't get, you get recognition, people are after you. But before you get that recognition, there's a lot of hustling you need to do. So please introduce yourself and tell us how you hustle.
Hi everybody, my name is Akash Kaushik, and like he said, I'm a writer. I've been here for some good 14-15 years, and I started my career with a film called Faltu. And over the years, I've written quite a few films. I wrote a film called Jodi Breakers. Then I wrote 3 years back Houseful 4. Then last year I had 2 releases. One was Thank God, the other was Bhool Bhulaiya 2. And you're right, the hustling bit is very important. I studied from Film Institute Pune, and honestly, whatever in the last 14 years, all I've learned is the hustling, because that is the key part. The creative thing I'd already learned. So
creative हम सबको आती है, आपसे नहीं बताओ आप क्या करोगे?
हाँ, तो ये hustling ही सीखी है over the period, and as far as we've been discussing the new age content, and if I can talk about OTT. I would like to start with a personal impact that OTT had on me. Because 14 years back, there were no such avenues. And I used to pray every day, ki God, kuch to do. Because tab hustling nahi aati thi. And I kept praying and nothing happened. And then I learned it the hard way. And I went on to finally get some films under my belt. And now finally God listened to me. And now my prayer is nipping me in the butt, because OTT is giving us a very stiff competition. But on a serious note, I think OTT just adds on to cinema. I think it has a major impact that way. Bhool Bhulaiya was one of the most successful films last year. But tell you what, the number of calls I got when the film released was, say, X. And when it came on OTT, 4 times the number of calls, it just went up. Because still even
आपकी तपस्या सफल हुई.
जी, बिल्कुल सफल हुई. So yeah.
So cool. I'll come to you, Karthik. I'll start with something I'm sure, because I gauge that there are a lot of people who are trying to write stories and trying to pitch content, and you have kind of not just made content, but you extended them into a franchise. There are very few shows which go into season 2, season 3, season 4, and I don't know how many seasons you've made of your content.
Many more, hopefully.
Yeah. So you've been able to sustain, and there's a longevity to the content you're creating. So how do you, and I'm keeping them in mind, that how do you think of an idea and how do people pitch to you? Or are you only saying कि यार मुझे जो idea आएगा वो है? Is there a science? Is there a method in the madness? Or it's just a random thought कि यार मेरे 4 साल के बच्चे ने आइडिया दिया कि मैं ये करूंगा? How does it come?
No. So there's definitely a little bit of science involved, as I was talking about. See, the thing is that quite often, जब basic funda तो वही है कि आप Bible, concept note, log line, and all those sort of things. But you have data at your disposal right now, because if you put out an Instagram post, like for example, I'll take the example of Ghar Wapsi. We were struggling. We were trying to kind of crack the 2 themes. Should one opt out of the rat race and is it okay to kind of live a more wholesome life, just have a sort of a 9 to 5 job rather than slogging yourself in a 9 to 9 sort of a job with a little less salary? How relatable that theme would be. तो ये तो हमारे दिमाग की उपज थी, लेकिन ये कितना रिलेटेबल है, ये लोगों के साथ क्लिक करेगा या नहीं करेगा. पहले क्या करते थे, जब आई एम श्योर आकाश विल अग्री, आप क्या करते थे, लॉग लाइन सुनाते थे, और अभी भी करते हैं बहुत से लोग, जाके अपने दोस्तों को सुनाते हैं, यार ये लॉग लाइन है, ये कॉन्सेप्ट नोट है, पता ना क्या लग रहा है. बट नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ एक्सेस टू फॉलोइंग इन सोशल मीडिया एंड ऑल दैट, यू कैन पुट आउट अ पोल and see what is the sort of response that you're getting, whether it is clicking or not. So when it clicked, हम लोग भी skeptical थे कि ये थोड़ा सा philosophical सा theme है, ये touch करेगा कि नहीं. और एक चीज तो ये थी कि हम लोगों ने observation से देखा था, which is also very important to kind of see what is happening. COVID की वजह से बहुत से लोग अपने अपने घर चले गए थे, नौकरियां छोड़ के बड़े शहरों में जहां पे रेंट बहुत महंगा हो रहा था. They left their towns and they left the big cities and they went back to their hometowns and started living. And what was their struggle like after having been away with your father who keeps telling you kahan ja rahe ho, with the mother who keeps saying, feeding you the dahi chini and all those sort of lovable things which you might find irritable when you go home after like a couple of years. And actually we had made a video, a filter copy video, which actually did really, really well when you come back home after a long time. So उस वजह से कॉन्फिडेंस ये आ गया कि हाँ यार ये क्लिक कर रहा है, इस पे अगर हम लॉन्ग फॉर्म बनाएंगे तो डेफिनेटली ये वर्क करेगा, ज्यादा चलेगा. एंड ऑफ कोर्स लाइक सिर्फ अच्छा टॉपिक ढूंढ लेने से ही बात नहीं बनती है, आपको उसको कहानी में ढंग से पिरोना पड़ता है. यू हैव टू टेक ऑल दोस थिंग्स, एज both of everyone was saying, that you have to add value. You have to kind of make sure that the audience's attention is there. You're giving something to the audience. Your opening scene has to have that hook. Your cliffhanger has to be there in the end of the episode. The tension has to rise, and all those screenwriting fundamentals that Aaron Sorkin and Shonda Rhimes and all those great people have been, sharing with us in the master classes. तो उसमें कैसे उसका proper marriage किया जाए, वो अपने आप में एक challenge है, and वही करने की कोशिश रहती है कि हर season by season actually you have to start from scratch. Like this is something that Quentin Tarantino says. Like when he's starting Inglourious Bastards, not only he has to forget everything that he has done, but it also becomes like a big, ostrich on his head. Like it's like a big mountain. अब मेरे को, oh my God, उसका बोझा हटा के scratch से शुरू करना पड़ेगा. So every season is like that. So what is the new thought? What is the new theme that we are trying to explore? How can we take this idea to the next level? I mean, ये तो constant जद्दोजहद है, जो हम लोग कभी बार सक्सेसफुल होते हैं, कभी बार नहीं होते.
But can I praise your show, Ghar Wapsi? I really
always.
Applause. I mean, this is really, really well done.
Thank you so much.
So, Karthik, just one thing I wanted to ask is that if somebody comes up with an idea which is better than Ghar Wapsi according to them, what are the 2-3 things you look at when you evaluate a script?
Firstly, whether they can back it up with the written material. The problem is everybody in India knows how to bat better than Virat Kohli. And what is a better film? इससे तो मैं बना सकता था बेटर. बट वो जो डिसिप्लिन है 50 पन्नों में बाइबल लिखने का, या फिर इन केस ऑफ अ फिल्म 90 से 120 पन्नों में वो स्क्रीन प्ले लिखने का विद द करेक्ट फॉर्मेटिंग, विद द स्क्रीन प्ले नंबर्स एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग्स, वहां पे पता चल जाता है कि सामने वाला कितने पानी में है. तो वहीं पे आपके मतलब 60% लोग तो वहीं पे फेल हो जाते हैं. तो वहां से उसके बाद देन यू ट्राई एंड सी, ओके, इज इट जस्ट ऑल टेक्स्ट, इज देयर सब टेक्स्ट, एंड ऑल दो सॉर्ट ऑफ इवैल्यूएशंस पैरामीटर्स दैट यू सी, एंड देन यू आस्क अराउंड. ऑफ कोर्स यू गेट सम ओपिनियन ऑन दिस, एंड यू ऑल्सो, it's also very important to meet the creator and understand where he or she is coming, what is the sort of conviction he or she has, and what is their connection with the material. So, like, कहाँ से, is he or she coming from a lived experience? Is it an adaptation of a book? तो वो सब चीजें बहुत मायने रखती हैं. And automatically, because it means that, okay, the show is going to come from an organic, from a rooted place. Right? तो वो बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है. Like अगर आप tier 2 में एक शो बना रहे हो, तो you cannot necessarily have only the urban corporate experience. You need to have the writers who have come from Indore, who have lived that background. If you're making a medical drama web series like Operation MBBS, like we made 2 seasons of that, you need to have a doctor who has observed all those things कि medical college में क्या चलता है जो बाकी colleges जैसा भी है और बाकी colleges से अलग भी है. So that it becomes very specific to them, but at the same point of time, it cuts across all communities.
So I guess you have to have both. You have to have that edge of telling a story in a very, very little words, but also back it up with a lot of words in the Bible you create. And I completely agree with you, because there's a lot of people who connect with me on the social media and they'll start with hi, and I'll say hi, and they'll say, how are you? And I get irritated there that, we're not relatives, we're not friends. Come to the point. And then somebody will say, I writer, want to work. So want to work where? So sometimes the words you choose and the kind of things you present, gives the gravity, gives the background of what you do. So coming to Soumya, you've been somebody who has a fan base, you're a brand yourself. And how do you choose a product? And do you think that today, and there are two questions in one. So how do you choose a product? And do you think brands are choosing it right? I mean, when they take somebody to endorse something. So both ways, what is your point of view?
Saurabh, that's a very, very, very good question. And maybe I might sound a little controversial. But
we want controversy.
Okay, here it goes. So what I say is that, like I said earlier, the advertisers were, talking on the same platform and they were selling everything. But it doesn't happen now anymore. For example, I speak for myself and I hope everybody will agree that if I have to say, for example, choose an education app, I'm not going to buy it if a Bollywood A-lister is selling it to me. I'm not going to buy Byju's because a Bollywood A-lister is selling it to me. I will take it seriously when an expert content creator who studies it, who has knowledge about it, who has experienced it, who talks about that product in his, that category in his content, when he advises me, I will take him seriously. Similarly, if I have a certain number of followers and if a brand, say for example, a good brand like Alicious comes to me and asks me to sell it, I'm not the right person because I'm a vegetarian. So I'm not the right influencer for it or not the right actor for it. So you got to be more real. You got to be more honest because your viewers, your consumers are evolving. They are intelligent. You have to speak to them honestly. So I hope the advertisers are listening.
So you mean to say that between money and responsibility, you choose responsibility? That's a wrong choice, but okay. So, but just one more question. So there are two ways to approaching content. One is you go to Santosh, you go to Karthik and pitch a concept. But sometimes you also go to an actor and, pitch ideas. And so what is it that you look at when you get a project? How do you analyze a project? And what are the 2-3 things you think that, these are things which can interest me?
I just feel like very rightly, Karthik, you said that if you, for example, are making a medical drama, you need to have authenticity in it. If you are, say, for example, Aaron Sorkin made that beautiful show about the newsroom. So when you are talking about, news, you are actually, you're honest, you are genuine, you're credible. So whenever I get a script and I feel it's pretentious, it just puts me off. Okay. I hope I come to a point in my life where I actually say, okay, come on, bring on. Let's see. But for me, the first test of a script is that it has to be non-pretentious and it is honest. If you are talking about a small town, it should come from somebody who has experienced, lived, and who speaks that language. Cool. So that is the first thing for me. Has to be honest.
So if you have any script for Soumya, you can send it to santosh.nair@tv9.com or no, we can't do that. So Santosh.
Saurabh, can I give your email ID? What's your email ID?
I don't have an email ID, but Santosh, just asking from what you do. So I've also made a Marathi film, and every time, and because I'm a non-Marathi, every time I used to go to somebody and said, "Yaar, yahan aisa hi chalta hai, yahan yehi hota hai," and everybody's trying to do something. So how relevant is the formula for people who are writing, people who are creating content, and in a world which is challenged by Indian cinema, Hindi films as well? Your world is so close to the Hindi cinema that you face a lot of competition. So how do you choose content? Is it formula that makes you judge a content, or ki, biopic type banao ye chalega, or what is your process?
I believe there's no guarantee on any particular topic or particular subject. What you can do is do your bit thoroughly. And the messaging has to be very clear. So I've seen a lot of concepts or a lot of stories which are narrated so well, and when you see the end product, it's completely different. So it's extremely important that the entire ecosystem is done thoroughly, starting from narration till your post-production, till your marketing. Because many movies don't work because you don't market it. Yeah. Or you over-market it. Even that doesn't work well. Yeah. So that's very important. And your messaging, your target audience. If you start promoting only on digital marketing, wherein your audience is completely different, your audience is maybe your middle age or your TV group, then you're promoting it in the wrong way. So I would say there's no right formula or a guaranteed formula. I would say if you do this, then it'll work. Because we've seen a lot of content which is of the same genre, exactly made similarly, but has not worked. Maybe with a better actor, maybe with a known name, it has not worked. So adding all these points together, talking about authenticity, talking about relatability, talking about the way you've actually done it, and it can be seen across today's audience. The exposure is so much, they can actually start looking at this VFX is not right, or this looks fake, or the actor is overacting, or it's not relatable. So audiences become so smart, and they start judging, they start talking about this was completely out of context. Now you insert a song in a movie which is completely out of context, people don't take it. So it's so important now that you give what is required in the context, have your right target audience, and don't try to do it one for all. If you try and make something which is from age 15 to 80, then you might end up failing. But if you just have your target audience just for women, or just for old age group, or just for young people, just make on that, stand by that, and focus on that. That's quite important. People also get quite confused. Sabko promote kar denge, sabke liye karenge. My audience is this, my audience is actually college going, but maybe it might also work with so-and-so. That doesn't work. So I think doing it the right way, with right audience, you do it thoroughly, and leave the rest to the audience. You can't really guarantee saying, ye kaam kar, for sure it will work.
So I completely agree with you, because there was somebody known from Hollywood who had come and from the commerce side, and I was saying, ye chalega nahi, ye chalega, ye nahi chalega. And he said, every content has a market. As a marketer or as an exploiter, our job is to find that market. So we need to be very focused on what we do. But I'm going to ask a completely opposite question to you, Akash, because you're the only guy who must be going to a producer or a studio, and जहाँ वो सब बैठे हैं उनको सबको तुमसे ज़्यादा पता है तुम्हारी कहानी के बारे में, तुमसे ज़्यादा उनके पास कहानियाँ हैं. So when you tell them, do they give you a brief कि this is the way content works, this is my TG, and does it affect you, like for example podcasts or things like that? So what is your take on that? Do you go by the precise brief, or what is your understanding?
So like Karthik said कि कोहली को सब बैटिंग बताते हैं, वो सिर्फ कोहली के साथ नहीं होता, वो सबसे ज्यादा एक राइटर के साथ होता है.
I completely.
What happens is you'll never tell a cinematographer यहाँ lighting करो. You'll never tell a singer do this. But for a writer, everybody has an opinion. Sometimes even a spot boy would come to me, sir आपको नहीं लग रहा है सीन थोड़ा और ऐसा होना चाहिए था. So you get used to it, and that's where the hustling comes into work. Having said that, I'll give you an analogy. It's like, so the script is your baby, right? So it's when you write a script, it's like giving birth to a child. Then you give it to the director and the producer. Please don't hate me, the producers over here and the directors.
They're one next to you also.
And then they raise the baby, and you don't have much say. और आपको लग रहा है कि आपके बच्चे की अपब्रिंगिंग अच्छी नहीं हो रही, अच्छी परवरिश नहीं हो रही है, but you can't do anything. And later when the kid turns out to be bad, everybody comes to you, कैसा बच्चा पैदा किया है तुमने. So that is what I've seen over the period. But now things are changing. Like Santosh was saying कि गाने, earlier there was actually a brief given कि 3 गाने या 2 गाने first half में, 2 गाने second half में. Now it is like गाने मत डालना. So, but what happens is when you meet the right people, मुझे लगता है वो question ही गलत है कि ये क्या चलेगा. It should be what a lovely story. Yeah, we should tell this story. The moment we change that, I think the problem, because I always feel the solution is very simple. While I understand that it has to be a blend of both commerce and creative, but trust me, when you're telling a good story, then वो कहते हैं ना काबिल बनो कामयाबी अपने आप पीछे आ जाएगी. The Three Idiots की line है. So where I met few like-minded people who said, yeah, let's tell this story. This is a nice story, and let's tell it in the best possible way. So that for me is the creative flexibility I need, where you can flex your muscles and then do the best. But over the period, things have gotten much better now. So yeah.
So what are the projects you're doing now?
Well, I'm writing Bhool Bhulaiya 3. I'm writing a couple of more films that I can't talk about. Very exciting films. And I'm also working on my directorial debut. अब बच्चे को खुद upbring करने का time आ गया that I should do that.
So cool. So Karthik, taking from what he's saying, how do you tackle with content, and where do you see the future of writing and content creation? What is the future from your perspective?
I think memorability is going to be a very important factor. अभी सीन ये है कि हर जगह कंटेंट का ना मतलब एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है. सो आपके पास 50 प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, आप अलग अलग कंटेंट देख सकते हो. अटेंशन स्पैन कम होता जा रहा है, वो एक चीज़ है. शॉर्ट फॉर्म रील्स और वो सब में विद इन द फर्स्ट 2-3 मिनट्स ऑफ अ शो यू कैन जज. बहुत से अच्छे शोज है बड़े बजट के, बड़े प्लेटफॉर्म के. मेरे को एक एपिसोड देखने के लिए मुझे बहुत मेहनत लगी, बहुत सारी कॉफी लगी, और मेरा सबसे बड़ा शिकायत यही थी कि उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे 1.25-1.5x स्पीड पे प्ले करने की सहूलियत क्यों नहीं है जो यूट्यूब में होती है, जो नेटफ्लिक्स पे होती है. तो वो मेरा एनीवे. सो द पॉइंट इज, द थिंग इज you have to make sure that the content is memorable, and that is going to be a big challenge. How does it stand out from the rest of the content that everybody is trying to make and is making? That is one big challenge. How do you make sure that how do you hunt for more and more rooted experiences and yet serve them in the most exciting manner to the audiences? I think वो एक majorly challenge होने वाला है. बाकी attention span और वो ये सब we can still figure those things out, because content हमेशा से था और हमेशा रहेगा. People used to say the same thing about when VCR, VCP tapes, video cassettes came, and then it would disrupt this thing and all that. Films अभी भी हैं, digital अभी भी है. So the shows are always going to be there. How memorable are you? That is one sort of big challenge that I think everybody is consciously or subconsciously facing.
I guess you're absolutely right, and I say it in 2 words. Or maybe 3. One is memorable story, and the second is memorable characters. If the characters work like the Swamiji in Scam, so it can really work. So Soumya, I wanted to ask you this for a very long time. So you've done Bhabhi Ji Ghar Pe Hai, and if I go back in time and if the script is offered to me, there are so many ways that script can, or that idea can go wrong. There are so many ways it can go a different way, the way it's been executed. So how was it for you as an actor, and what made you choose it, and how it was executed? Just give us some highlights about that. And
I was very scared and reluctant to take it up, because I thought that it is going to be another slapstick comedy on television. There was a point in time I thought sab choppat ho gaya, ye bahut galat decision ho gaya the first time I went up on the stage, on the shoot. And then to my surprise I realized what original dialogues, what original writing, क्योंकि टेलीविजन में भाषा का उपयोग और भाषा का जो रस है, जो सेंट्रल इंडिया की भाषाओं का, जो उनकी बोलियों का, जो और खूबसूरत हिंदी भाषा का, लिटरेरी भाषा का, उर्दू का, हिंदी का इस्तेमाल ही नहीं होता है टेलीविजन में, क्योंकि इतना ड्रामेटिक है सब कुछ और इतना बम्बैया है. तो वो सबसे खूबसूरत एक बात मुझे लगी, क्योंकि आइडिया लेवल पे कोई ऐसी यूनिक चीज़ नहीं थी, क्योंकि हम देख चुके थे कुछ ऐसा पहले भी, लेकिन जो उसका एग्जीक्यूशन था, वही मैंने आपको जो कहा ना, प्रिटेंशियस नहीं था, रियल था. जो कैरेक्टर्स थे वो अपने आप में बहुत ही वेल एज्ड थे. So I would say first the writing, I feel, Akash, जो आपने वो कहा ना कि आपको सब बैटिंग सिखाता है, totally empathize with you, पर मुझे ऐसा लगता है writing is the hero.
Just if I can, I'm so sorry, just to add on that and then you continue. A lot of people say कि OTT पे content is better as compared to films. You know why? Because on OTT, the writers are given far more importance than they're given in films. There are writer rooms and then they're involved even in the making and they are kept involved. So really that is one of the major reasons why the quality is better on OTT.
Because film is a director's medium, whereas television or OTT shows is a writer's medium.
Correct.
Theatre is an actor's medium.
Please continue, Soumya.
Soumya, you can interrupt when they're going to talk. Now it's your turn again.
So I feel that लिखाई बहुत खूबसूरत थी. It was a beautiful writing which floored me. Plus characterization, because television is a medium of characters. The people have to attach themselves to the character, love them, and continue seeing same story every day because they just love your character. So it is not about a star power. It is about the character that has been created and they just love. So I feel that is what was something which separated it from everybody else, apart from the fact that performances were good too.
Of course.
Soumya,
Modesty aside.
I'd like to add to this because see, इनको अगर writers के दुख ज़्यादा लगता है तो he should try becoming a director. He'll realize writing is much more easier, and I'm a director, I can tell you that. But
and I'm sorry, Saurabh, I'm going to just take one more minute to kind of put this thing that I was hell-bent that my condition of joining was that I told them I'm not going to make it caricature. I'm not going to make it loud. I'm not going to give loud expressions. I'm going to make it spontaneous, real. I'm going to design the look of the character also myself. If you are okay with it, I will be in it. And they agreed, and I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that this could happen. That I did something on television which was not technically a typical stereotypical good girl, nice, naive heroine, but a girl who was fun, who was dominating, quirky, natural, and it worked. And case in point, that even that mass audience, which we say sexy town mein television dekhte hain, even they are ready to accept something progressive if you serve them well.
No, in fact, that was my question. You already answered it. That how does a performer or an actor, contribute to the writing? And that's very, very important, because if your casting is right, I think as a director, most of your job is done. Then it's, the script and obviously the performance. And
I was lucky, Saurabh, that my director and writer let me do that. So I took that little space from them. I'm very lucky to have that director and writer to let me explore that character, which was the least developed character in the beginning.
Superb. So I think rest is history, and there are many more to come. So I guess that's it. Santosh, wanted to know, in a world where, you're always struggling to make a film within a budget, things like that, what do you think is the future? How will you break, with the digital revolution and everything, what is the future of Marathi cinema, and how will you take it globally? I wanted to ask that personally as well.
See, when we talk about budget, it's always a chicken or egg situation. Do you make a good heavy budget movie and then have the audience come in to see, or have a decent average budget movie? So there's no, I have still not cracked. I don't think any regional industry apart from South has cracked the code of the budget. But what's important is you look at what's really required for the content. If you go overboard, it's not going to work. And if you're in the range of 3 to 5 CR, that's what I think mostly regional movies of, say, Marathi, Gujarati, you go up north, that's the normal budget that anyone would work within. That's what would work. And if you do all the calculation, because you also, at the end of it, it's a business, right? You have creativity, you have all these elements, but the moment it starts to fail to work as a business, you'll not have producers producing those movies. So we talk about all these elements, but finally it has to make money. For it to continue, the cycle has to continue, right? So someone has to make money to put in money. So that budget part is extremely important. In terms of future, I think we have to use the technology part. If you use it right, you can do wonders in terms of budget and provide that content to the audience. We talk about AI, we talk about so many other elements. You really don't need an exotic location. You can do with certain elements from a technology point of view. You can offer so much more through what's coming in terms of technology within a particular budget. So I think what's important is within X budget, how much more can you offer? I think that's the value of a production house. If you have X budget and you provide X plus Y plus Z to the audience, so audience feels this is what I want to watch. But from a producer's point of view, he's not spent that much. I think that's what we need to focus as producers, is what I feel.
So Akash, जो भी तुम आंसर बोलोगे वो सबको पता ही है वैसे, but because तुम writer हो. But where do you see the future of writing? How is it going to evolve?
It's a great time to be a writer with so many avenues out there with OTT and all that, which I said in my first when I first started talking that this is what I wanted when I came. So this is an ideal time to be a writer. You can be experimental. You can the star system is collapsing, so you don't need a star for your film, especially on OTT. So it's a great time to be a writer. And I would just like to make one point, because we kind of digressed from the topic. But I just wanted to make one point when I heard about the topic that, you know, the lines blurring between creators and consumers and curators. One name of one film popped in my head, and I want to mention that, and that film is Everything Everywhere All at Once. All right, that is the perfect example, because I'm sure a lot of people have seen that, and that film has won so many Oscars. Especially it won the Oscar for Best VFX. And the best thing about that is that most of the people in the crew were self-taught. The VFX supervisor had no experience. They had learned it from the internet. So we as creators are actually the biggest consumers. And this is what I do, though I've studied from filmmaking from FTI, which is one of the most premier institutes of our country. I've been here for 14, 15 years. Yet I go to that internet and I try and learn, and there is an ocean of knowledge there. So I think it's hand-fitting the glove. And there's a lot to learn out there. So that's how.
No, I completely agree with you. And a lot of people in a lot of sessions have asked that, you know, how do I pitch, and, you know, what makes things work, and how do I, you know, come to you? But I think as content creators, and all of us are, whether you are writers, directors, actors, I think once we, you know, if we want to create something, we'll find a way. Today, technology is so easy. You have YouTube as a platform and several other platforms. So, jo banana chahta hai, and I'm sure he's not somebody jiske chacha ne se kaam diya, and, you know, everybody struggled and worked it out. But if you want to do it, I think there is a way out. And this is a living proof of how we crack content.